Hey guys! Welcome to another episode of Bedtime Stories with me. Today, I want to tell you a story about frogs. Have you noticed that a lot of our stories are about frogs? It's just a coincidence, I always happen to stumble on stories with moral values that feature frogs. I sure hope children and you guys like frogs. So here goes. Once upon a time, there was a group of frogs hopping through the forest, and when two of them accidentally hopped into a very deep pit, and these two was trying to hop out, and the other frogs were standing surrounding the pit, trying to assess the situation. So the frogs started talking around the pit to say that this deep pit looks too deep. I don't think you guys can hop out of it. However, because they wanted to fight for their lives, the two frogs kept trying. And then the frogs at the top of the pit kept shouting at them to say, save your energy, it is a futile effort, it's fruitless effort. So why are you doing this? Save your energy, don't hurt yourself, stop jumping. So they were shouting that. And one of the frog eventually felt very tired and hopeless and just sat down and stopped trying to hop out. The other frog, however, seeing everybody started jumping and all, so started to jump higher and with more energy and persevered through. And eventually, that frog persisted and managed to hop out. And then the other frog that was inside stayed in the pit because he didn't try any longer. He was too tired. And once the frog jumped out, all the other frogs started talking to it and say that, oh boy, we thought that you would never made it out of the pit. We were telling you that it's impossible, but okay, you showed us that it's possible. Good for you. So then the frog at the bottom of the pit actually shouted out and said, do you guys know that he is actually deaf? He can't hear what you are saying, and that is why he's still jumping. So the moral of the story is, my friends, that because the second frog couldn't hear the discouragement from his friends on the top of the pit, the second frog actually jumped higher because the second frog thought that the friends that were shouting and gesturing at them was encouraging him to jump higher and jump faster, and which is why he persisted and persevered and managed to jump out. The frog with perfect hearing could hear all the negativity that was going on up there, how they were assessing the pit, how deep that pit was, and how it's impossible, and that frog gave up sooner. So the moral of the story is we shouldn't listen to people's discouraged words. Sometimes people are just spectators, just like the frogs at the top of the pit. They are just spectators. They are assessing the situation, they are throwing their views about the situation at us. They seem encouraging at first because they are trying to help you assess the situation, but the words that they say later are demotivating words. So there's no need to listen to frogs like that at the top of the pit because they do nothing to help us that is in the pit. So oftentimes be careful of people that are observers, that seemingly looking at our situation and assessing it together with us, seemingly trying to help. But be careful that they are probably not helping because their discouragement can actually harm us more. I reflected that especially in times of crisis and on the social media context, whenever we post up something to share about a certain dilemma, a certain problems we are going through, a lot of frogs will appear at the top of the pit because a lot of frogs will help us assess the situation. How deep that pit is, how bad the situation is. But very few frogs would offer encouragement. Very few friends will offer encouragement. Most of them will be very discouraging. Most of them will be so-called realistic to tell us how bad the situation is. And if we are not careful, we will end up like the first frog who was discouraged because he could hear so clearly and he believed the demoralizing words of all the other frogs on top of the pit. So sometimes it's worth it to be like the deaf frog, where we know how deep the situation is, we look at the spectators there and we think the best of them. We think that they're motivating us, we think that they're encouraging us, because regardless what they say, we are trying our hard to jump and persevere through, and eventually we will get out of the dark pit. Okay? So as always, we will end our episode of Bedtime Stories with May with a gratitude exercise. So think about a moment today that made you feel grateful. And then think about the people surrounding that moment. It could be your family, your friends, it could even be your pets. And then just silently say thanks. Because for all the other things that have gone wrong today, you always have that one moment today to be grateful for. I'll see you tomorrow in another episode of Bedtime Stories with me. Bye!